The medieval period was a time when the lines between science, magic, and religious teaching could be blurred, and when all three were called upon to make sense of the world around us. Some of the most famous medieval figures to gain a reputation as magicians resemble the scientists of today, as their interests and methods appear less like magic than attempts to understand all of human knowledge within a Christian framework. What we would now refer to as mathematics, physics, and medicine were all elements of natural philosophy, understanding the principles that govern the universe by the observation of the natural world. And in some branches of thinking, a philosopher who could understand or command nature's hidden processes would have mastery of natural magic. One practical science based on the principles of natural philosophy was medieval alchemy, which focused upon the creation and transformation of metals, minerals, and medicine. Alchemical theories found their basis in classical texts, which proposed that all things were composed of different proportions of earth, air, fire, and water, which, if altered, could change the nature of the material involved, potentially allowing one to transform base metals, such as lead, into noble metals, such as gold. Numerous alchemical texts survive from medieval times, including some by alchemists linked with Yorkshire, such as a treatise on the Philosopher's Stone by George Marrow, canon of Nostell Priory that owned Barley Hall in York, as well as the Compound of Alchemy by George Ripley, canon of Bridlington. The 12 gates or processes of alchemy and the apparatus used, explained by Ripley, have contributed to the development of modern chemistry. Magnetism was well known in the medieval world, but unlike today, the properties of magnets or lodestones were considered an occult power, an example of natural magic, and were used to argue that other materials had similar occult virtues. Magnets were a source of wonder for medieval people due to their ability to make objects float and power navigational instruments, and some texts even claimed that magnets would lose their power if they came into contact with garlic or a diamond, but regain them with the application of goat's blood. Astrology was widely accepted as a real science in medieval Europe, although it could be in conflict with Christian belief and was not universally believed in. But it was not simply used for creating horoscopes, as it was deemed an essential element for the practice of medicine. The different signs of the zodiac were linked with different parts of the body and were illustrated in medical texts in zodiac man images. Such texts state that procedures affecting any part of the body should be avoided if the moon is in conjunction with that body part's related astrological house. For example, it was considered dangerous to treat a patient's lower back, hips, or kidneys if the moon was in Libra. Optical illusions and the manipulation of light were attributed in medieval tales to magicians and demons, but medieval scholars argued and demonstrated that such illusions could be produced through non-magical means, using mirrors and optical apparatus. Stones which acted as prisms to separate light into colours were well known and listed within texts that studied the magical properties of stones, though Roger Bacon studied the formation and artificial creation of rainbows using sunlight and crystals. Such early scientists who explained the physics behind optical illusions sometimes gained reputations as sorcerers due to the overlap between astrology, alchemy, and natural philosophy, which blurred the line between experimental science and magic.